What's up, everybody? So in this video series, we're going to cover the documentary West of Memphis. A documentary about how the West Memphis Three were wrongfully convicted, about how Damien Echols, Jesse Misskelley, and Charles Baldwin were wrongfully convicted for the murder of 3 boys back in 1993. Now, like I did with Making a Murderer, I went over the documentary Making a Murderer that is on Netflix. I also read Jerry Buting's book, who was one of Stephen Avery's attorneys, but I also read Ken Kratz's book, who was the prosecutor who was prosecuting Stephen Avery at the time. So if there are any documentaries or books out there from the other side of things, please let me know, because I would definitely like to check them out and review them as well. Now, the documentary starts out June 3rd, 1993. Jesse Misskelley, who was 17 years old, Charles Baldwin, who was 16 years old, and Damien Echols, who was 18 years old, were all charged with the murder of the 3 young boys. Damien Echols was charged with 3 counts of capital murder. Now, it goes over a timeline of events of what happened on the day the 3 boys were tragically murdered. It states that on the day, Stevie Branch and Michael Moore left the Hobbs house at 3:35 p.m. That's where Stevie Branch lived, and Christopher Byers showed up a short time after to see if the boys were there. He left the house at 3:35 p.m. to look for Stevie and Michael. At 5 p.m., Terry Hobbs drove Pam to work. Now, Pam is Stevie Branch's mother. She wanted Stevie back by 4 p.m., but he didn't show up. And realistically, it's only an hour. It's probably not that much to think about, how a young boy is just late getting home for dinner because he's out playing with his friends. Nothing really to worry about, I wouldn't think, at this given time. So at 5 p.m., Terry Hobbs drives Pam to work. At 9:18 p.m., Terry picks up Pam from work. Pam goes to the car and asks Stevie's sister where Stevie was, because Stevie wasn't with them. His sister states that they can't find him, and of course, right away, Pam assumes the worst. I mean, I can definitely get why her mind went there. Your young boy has not shown up. He was supposed to be back at 4 p.m. You left for work at 5. That's only an hour, no big deal, but now it's nighttime. It's 4 or 5 hours past the time he was supposed to be home, and nobody has seen him. That is definitely a giant cause for concern. Especially because John Byers, who is the adopted father of Christopher, stated it was unlike the boys to do this. They were never the type to run off. They never ran off before. They always came home. They never went missing or anything like that before. Now, Steve Jones, who is a former juvenile officer, went out looking for the boys. He went out, he looked around Robin Hood Hills and saw a tennis shoe. That was the beginning of the discovery of the boys. He called the police. Mike Allen came to help with the search. Mike Allen would later, the boys were found in water. So Mike Allen actually fell into the water, and when he went to stand up, that's when they discovered the first body of the 3 boys. John Fogelman, who is a former deputy prosecutor, states that the 3 boys were hogtied and thrown in the water, and they appeared to be sexually mutilated, which appears to be cult-related. Jerry Driver, who is a former juvenile probation officer and a cult expert, police asked him who in the area were into stuff like that. He said Damien Echols, and that the other 2 boys were likely to follow what Damien did. So to them, these were the 3 people who were most likely to have committed this crime. Plus, they got a confession from Jesse Misskelley. Now, we will definitely be going over that confession later once we get to that part. During the trial, they talked about a diary or a journal that Damien Echols used to write in, and he used to write some very dark, some very disturbing things. Damien Echols, Charles Baldwin, and Jesse Misskelley were found guilty of murdering the 3 boys. Damien Echols was sentenced to death. That's where I'm going to leave part 1. I'm going to go over the documentary in various parts, just to break it down so that the videos don't get overly long, and that's going to be the end of part 1. But what a tragic situation all around. Those 3 young boys that got tragically murdered that day, I can't imagine what their families went through. Just horrific, just so tragic and so sad. But I'll be back with part 2 of this series, and we're gonna go over everything. We're gonna go over Jesse Misskelley's confession. We're gonna go over everything Damien Echols, everything Charles Baldwin. Let me know what you think of this case. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.